Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
Breaking news is an agonizing wait could soon be over for some of the families of the more than 200 hostages held by Hamas. Glad you're with us. It tops Local 4 News at 11. I'm Devin Skillian.
Good evening. I'm Karen Drew in for Kimberly Gill this evening. Late tonight, Israel's cabinet approved a tentative deal with the terrorist group that includes the release of 50 Israeli women and children in exchange for a 4-day ceasefire.
The truce comes on the same day Israel says it had surrounded a refugee camp searching for members of Hamas.
Israeli government leaders were meeting throughout the day, trying to work through the details following negotiations mediated by the United States and Qatar. For the families who've been desperate for any sign of hope, weeks of worry are now compounded into one pressing question.
Is my family going to be in this first batch or not?
Israeli-American Galia Mizrahi has 4 family members held hostage by Hamas, her cousins, aged 17, 11, and 9, and their mother. Under the tentative deal, roughly 50 women and children hostages Hamas took into Gaza would be freed in exchange for around 150 Israeli-held Palestinian prisoners, many of whom would also be women and children. Israel would run security checks on any released prisoners. Sources say there would be a 4 to 5 day pause in fighting to allow for the hostage exchange. And in addition, as many as 300 to 400 trucks of humanitarian aid would be allowed into Gaza per day, along with more fuel trucks. But some, like Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, say the pause in violence isn't enough. Just before 9 p.m., she released this statement saying, when this short-term agreement expires, the bombing of innocent civilians will continue. We need a permanent ceasefire that saves lives, brings all the hostages and those arbitrarily detained home, and puts an end to this horrific violence, end of quote. If the ceasefire holds, more hostages could be released, leaving families again to ask, will it be our turn this time?
Now, if all goes well, there is an option to extend the ceasefire for each day that Hamas releases an additional 10 hostages. Also important to note, Israel is only negotiating on behalf of Israeli hostages and dual nationals, which would include most of the Americans that are being held.
It is a big holiday week, big travel week, and obviously we've got the parade right around the corner, so weather's a big deal.
So much. It's going to affect so many different things. Let's get over to Kim Adams.
Well, we got our rain out of the way, and now we just have a few sprinkles in parts of Wayne County and up into Oakland and Macomb counties. It's raining in Garden City, Inkster, and in Wayne, and then over into Plymouth and Canton, getting a few showers. Also Salem, but it's dry in Northville, a couple sprinkles in Farmington Hills. So once this gets out of here tonight, we look forward to some much nicer weather. Not too bad. Mild right now downtown. It's 48 degrees, 47 in Mount Clemens, low 40s in Monroe and Metro, and 41 in Pontiac. Tomorrow, well, we have a lot of clouds around. We'll get a few breaks of the sun with temperatures topping out right around 44 degrees. But take a look at this. I'm so excited about this. The Thanksgiving forecast, sunshine, temperatures in the upper 40s. So the way to Thanksgiving dinner, not too bad. But if you're staying until Sunday or Monday, we do have to talk about some snow that is in the forecast that could affect your trip home, and we'll do that in a few minutes.
Kim, we're getting family reaction now after an arrest is made in the murder of a missing woman, Dee Warner.
Michigan State Police confirm someone is in custody tonight. Jacqueline Francis was in Lenawee County this evening talking with family.
The families gathered here tonight talking with us. For more than 2 years, they've wanted justice for Dee, and now an arrest is made. The family says police arrested her husband.
Who would have ever thought that in this little tiny town, on this little country road, that we'd have to be talking about a murder that's taken place by 2 people who were related to me.
Greg Hardy has been relentless in his search for justice. His sister, 52-year-old Dee Warner, disappeared from her Tipton home in April 2021. From the beginning, Hardy suspected Dee's husband, Dale Warner. Today, Warner was arrested. Michigan State Police aren't saying who they arrested for Dee's murder, but family says it was Dale.
Our family has suffered a large share. There's one person that could have eliminated all of that, and that's the person who's in jail tonight.
Despite several search efforts, Dee's body was never found. Hardy lived next door to Dee and her husband. When asked about the motive, he believes his sister was a victim of domestic violence.
My sister was a very strong person, I do believe that she thought she could handle the task at hand. She suffered from the same thing that lots of battered women have, and that is that they can change the person who they're married to.
This big break in the case.
Well, you know, it becomes a little reflective.
Coming just days ahead of another Thanksgiving without Dee.
For the family, yeah. So it'll certainly be a relief, but she's still not there.
That arraignment is expected to take place tomorrow. More details will be released after that. Reporting in Lenawee County, Jacqueline Francis, Local 4.
A Troy police officer opens fire on a man accused of trying to run him down with a stolen SUV. All of this happened in the middle of rush hour traffic.
Happened this afternoon on Rochester Road. Troy police say they tried to pull over a stolen Ford Escape and went to box the car in near Big Beaver, but the man behind the wheel rammed the police squad cars around him and then allegedly tried to run down an officer. The officer pulled his weapon and fired, hitting the driver somewhere in the upper body.
We were able to get the suspect out of the vehicle, effect an arrest essentially, but also at the same time start treating him. Our officers did that. Ambulance was pretty quick response time, and the ambulance was able to transport him to a local hospital.
The man is in stable condition tonight. The Oakland County Sheriff's Department has been called in to ask and look into whether the officer's actions were appropriate, so the investigation is on. A call for change after an independent report says the shooting at Oxford High School could have been prevented.
Students walked out of classes today as the legal battles between the prosecutor's office and the shooter's parents are taking a nasty turn. As Mara McDonald shows us, both sides say each is violating the gag order.
We're at a point right now where the Oakland County prosecutor is alleging that Jennifer Crumbley's attorney has released confidential information, and she wants to see her found in contempt of court. Let me show you everything.
These campus murders were avoidable.
The last 7 days have brought nothing but fury and terrible memories. Parents enraged over the findings in an independent investigation. Key, the shooting at the high school 2 years ago was preventable. Some students walked out of class today demanding several board and staff members be shown the door.
The immediate removal of board members Aaron Reese, Colleen Schultz, Heather Schaefer, Mary Hanser, ex-principal Stephen Wolf, and counselor Sean Hopkins from any aspect of Oxford Community Schools as they failed to perform their duties and implement necessary policies to protect their children.
The shooter responsible for all this heartache will be sentenced December 8th, but the trials of his parents on manslaughter charges are expected to start up in January. There's a gag order in the case, and now the prosecutor's office is alleging the attorney for Jennifer Crumbley has violated it. They claim she released info in a public filing that should have been put under seal about the shooter. Tonight, a judge says she's not touching that issue until next May, which means it shouldn't slow down the parents' trials. And you heard that right. Trials plural. Both Jennifer and James Crumbley want individual trials on the charges. The trials for both the Crumbleys are expected to start sometime in January. It marks the first time that parents of a school shooter have been charged in connection with their child's crimes. We're in Pontiac at the Oakland County Circuit Court. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
Okay, Mara. Now to a Local 4 News update. Charges could be filed as soon as tomorrow in an alleged human trafficking operation in Metro Detroit. State police say the investigation started last week in Royal Oak Township. It ended at a home in Detroit. Troopers found 6 women over the age of 20 held against their will. Investigators said the women were hooked on drugs, had been forced to engage in prostitution. They were reported safe by authorities. State police say the operation is not part of a larger ring.
A new set of bills expands access to abortion in the state of Michigan. Governor Whitmer officially signed the Reproductive Health Act into law today in Livonia. The legislation repeals what supporters call medically unnecessary restrictions on abortion care, including those that criminalize nurses and doctors. The legislation was passed with more than 56% of the vote last November, months after the Supreme Court reversed Roe v. Wade. Well, volunteers across Metro Detroit are making sure families have food this Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah, residents in River Rouge waited in long lines today at the annual All-Star Give Back. Some big names there. Rapper Big Sean, some NBA players, NFL players, along with Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist, all providing more than 3,000 turkeys and food baskets to residents on a first-come, first-served basis. It comes during a time where demand for food this holiday is high.
The anxiety's high, so as inflation rises, but your wages stay the same. In some cases, some households' wages have been eliminated. So we got to make sure we provide reprieve for families, but more importantly, less judgment, more help, and empathy for families.
Organizers say the needs don't end just because the holidays end. They're urging community members to get involved and make donations to reputable organizations. All right, less than 2 days away from a pretty big day in the D, America's Thanksgiving Parade. Local 4, of course, so proud to be your home for this great tradition.
The annual tradition is in its 96th year. We will have a special edition of Local 4 News starting at 6 a.m. The fun continues all the way until Santa's arrival at noon. Now, between now and then, we are working hard to make sure that you have the best Thanksgiving ever.
Head to Click on Detroit to buy your exclusive Insider VIP Parade Experience tickets. You get to watch the parade from the grandstands, get a behind-the-scenes look at our morning show as well. Vote for the best new float and also the 2023 Battle of the Bands competition. That's always keen, and that will be Thursday morning as well online. And enter to win thousands of dollars in gift certificates and goods. We've got a lot planned.